Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. There are certain people you just can't pin down. They defy genres. They challenge themselves and succeed at everything. Adam Wainwright is one of those people. He was a pitcher with the St. Louis Cardinals for 18 years. He was a three-time All-Star and won the World Series in 2006. And he recently won the Stan Musial Award for Extraordinary Character. He has 5 kids, one of whom he and his wife adopted. And now he's come out with a country music album. It's called Hey Y'all. He recently made his debut at the Grand Ole Opry. Adam Wainwright is here with me now. Adam, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on the show. Always great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's so great to talk to you. You know, when you were 3 years old, I was told that some teacher said, "What do you want to be?" And you responded, "I want to be a professional baseball player," which you became. So after you retired from baseball, I mean, when did you get into music?
Well, I started, I have to go way back to high school when I was dating my wife. I started dating my wife when I was a junior in high school. She was a senior, and I was trying to schmooze her a little bit. I was trying to win her over, and so I would sing her Garth Brooks songs and George Strait songs, and then, after a couple of years of dating, I was an A-ball with the Macon Braves. She gave me my first guitar, and she said, "You love singing. You love singing to me, and I love hearing you sing. I'd like to see if you could play guitar to go with it." And so she's the one that really got me started with it.
That's great.
Yeah. So ever since then, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I each year in the minor leagues, and once I got into the big leagues, you spend a lot of time alone. You spend a lot of time in hotel rooms, and it's always, you get to the hotel room, you close the curtains, and you could sit there and you could do positive stuff like play guitar and write, or you can play video games or whatever. And I've always thought, I'd play some video games, but I was much more of I love getting together with the guys and singing and taking requests. And after a while, I started loving to write and fell in chance encounter with Gary Baker one time. And Gary is a great Hall of Fame producer. I was singing at Matt Holliday's house, actually. And Matt Holliday's neighbor was a guy named Ryan Baker. And Ryan's dad was Gary Baker. And Gary heard me sing and said, "You're not bad. We should make some music together." And, that's where it all started. So that was back in 2017 or 17, I think. And ever since then, he said, "Hey, if you're ever writing songs, send them to me. I'll tell you what I think or how to make them better and this and that." And I started doing that. And then finally, I sent him a song called One Day They Won't, which is on my album. It's all about my kids growing up. And, looking around the house, as disaster as it is sometimes and how messy it can be, is then all of a sudden, I thought, my daughter came and sat in my lap and said, "You know what? One day they won't do this right here." And ooh, that's a good title. So I sent that to him. I wrote it and sent it to him, and he called me back like 5 minutes later, and he's like, "All right, now we're on to something. Do more of this kind of stuff."
One's got basketball, one's got a test, one's got a crush on a boy she just met. Sometimes it gets crazy around here, but I know we've been blessed.
Yeah, there's a great line in that song I love where you say, "One day they will all have lives of their own. You better hold them close. Let them know wherever they go, they'll be loved." That's a beautiful line.
That's right. Thank you. That's as parents, that's all we can do, right? Is raise them up right. And eventually we're going to have to send them out. My daughter is about to be a senior in high school now. And my youngest is just 5. And I've got all the ages in between that too. So I'm looking forward to the other years that I get to spend with the other 4 also, and watching them grow up, and then, making them feel loved. That's what the song's all about.
One day they won't. One day they all will have lives of their own. You better hold them close and let them know wherever they go, they'll be loved. Time waits for no one day the years will go by and be gone. So let them stay here just to one day they won't.
My daughter sings the second verse and some of the bridge and chorus
I
with me.
wondered who that was.
Yeah, that's my daughter Bailey. She's 17 now, and she's doing great. I'm so proud of her.
There's marks on the walls and the backs of the chairs, toys and the clothes that we leave on the stairs. We wish sometimes we just grow up. Yeah, we've all been there.
Oh, and the little ones climb up and sit in your lap. There'll be a time they won't call you right back. House will feel empty, feel so alone. Enjoy every minute they call this home. But one day they won't. One day they all will have lives of their own. You better hold them close and let them know wherever they go they'll be loved. Time waits for no one. One day the years will go by and be gone. So let them stay here just as long as they want. 'Cause one day they won't.
Well, then you have Time to Fly. I grew up just south of St. Louis, so I've always been a Cardinal fan, and you say in the song, I'll always be a Cardinal, and a Cardinal I will stay. You wrote that song to what? You were retiring? You wanted to say goodbye to St. Louis and to the Cardinals?
I did. I was in spring training my final season, 2023, and I knew it was my last season. And I'm writing songs. I feel like I was writing 2 or 3 songs a week. And Gary and I and my other friend and songwriter, co-writer is a guy named Greg Barnhill, who's an incredibly talented musician. And I was sending them songs left and right. And then I was at the beach with my wife, and I thought, I'm writing all these songs. Well, how is it possible that I can have such an incredible career and time and experience with these Cardinal fans, with the Cardinals organization, and I don't write them a song? That would be disrespectful. So the fans that always just completely wrapped me around with their arms and just embraced me totally, my family totally, and made it feel like home. So I felt like I wanted to do that for them. But also, as we were walking back from the beach that same day, I thought, you know what? I'm almost ready for this kind of stuff more, like just being with the family, hanging out at the beach and being able to do whatever the family wants to do rather than check in and go to the clubhouse and do all this. And so I said, Jenny, it's time to ride.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, the song was called Time to Ride, but the theme for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2023 was Time to Fly. And so I thought, well, it's just too similar. My wife talked me into making that change complete, but in my experience as a Cardinal, it was coming to an end, and it was time to fly. It was time to go back home. But that doesn't mean I didn't absolutely love and cherish every moment I had to spend with the Cardinal fans.
Another first pitch strike from Adam Wainwright is next. A good breaking ball as these hitters see him for the first time. It's 0-2.
I've been knocked down, but I always got back up. The fire keeps on burning hot.
His first big league home run.
Deep down in my gut, and I still want to. I tried to always be your rock. Yeah, I dug deep, never quit. But you can't outrun the clock. It's time to fly. It's time to head back home. I might have to go, but I won't ever be gone. I did what I came here to do, and I love being here with you. But I know in my heart that it's time to fly.
Breaking ball struck him out, and the Cardinals have won the
Time
pennant.
to fly.
You get to the end of an athlete's career, and there is a little trade-off about you begin to think about the game less, and you begin to think about the future more. And particularly if you have a specific idea for a future and you had music in mind. Is that how you made the decision? Things were weighing a little more in one direction than the other?
No, well, I just think, my friend and teammate way back in the day, Jeff Suppan, was a teammate of mine in the Cardinals organization for a few years. He was the NLCS MVP, won a World Series with the Cardinals in 2006, and just a great friend, great Cardinal. And he told me, Adam, play as long as you can. Because when you walk away from this game, it's not like, being a banker or something where you want to go try something else out. Well, you can be a banker till you're 80. You can't do that in baseball. And he said, just make sure that when you're done that you want to be done. And I was still having so much fun playing the game, and my body was holding up okay, and I was performing well. As 2022, the year before, kind of wore on, I really got the sense that I didn't want to be done, but I also almost wanted to be done. I wanted to give it one more crack. I knew my body was barely hanging on, but I felt like I could still perform. And so I felt like I owed it to myself, and my wife is one of the most wise people I've ever met, and she's the one I go to a lot with questions of what should I do, and she says, you're always going to look back. If you retire in 2022, you're always going to look back and wonder, what would 2023 have been like? And so I played until I never had any second doubts. I played until when I made the final decision that I was going to retire, that I had such peace about it that it was just a great thing, and just being honest, my body stopped answering the bell. It stopped being able to do it anymore. And so it was a good time to go. It was time to fly.
And was your interest in music increasing?
It was, and I was trying to respect baseball in my job at a very high level so that nothing else was coming before that professionally. So as soon as baseball was kind of winding down, that's when I got a little bit more serious about the next step, because Gary and the other people that I was working with, I have a great team out of Nashville, Insight Media, with a guy named Chris Thomason, who's my manager. And he's been in the music business for a long, long time. And he said, Adam, you got some really cool stuff here, man. He goes, I wouldn't blow smoke. He goes, you need to give this a try and see what happens. And Gary was telling me the same thing, and Greg Barnhill was telling me the same thing, and Jenny was telling me the same thing. And so I wanted to do that, but I also had to respect the Cardinals and not, be working music during the fifth inning or something, or in between the starts. So, but I never let it come between me and baseball. But as baseball winded down, I knew that was my chance to give it 100% effort. As soon as the game ended, the next thing started.
Yep. I mean, that's the best way to make the transition, that's for sure. And you have so much good stuff. One Day They Won't, Time to Fly. I love American Hearts, too.
American Hearts, our lead guitarist is a guy named Jeff King. And Jeff has been the lead guitarist for Brooks and Dunn and Reba McEntire for a few decades. I mean, he's as good as it gets. And Jeff called me one day and said, hey, man, I got an idea for a song. I just don't know how to start it or where to go with it, but I feel like it could be a really cool summertime big song. The title would be American Hearts. What can you do with that? And I said, oh, man, I'd love to write that song if you'd let me. And so I got it started, and me and Gary Baker and Greg Barnhill, we knocked that sucker out in a few minutes. It just writes itself. So my grandpa and my granddaddy, both of them were in World War II. And so I had so much respect for those in the armed services and those who protect us and serve and do things that allow us to go out and live normal lives that we don't even know they're doing. It's just amazing to me. And so I love writing that.
And you wrote the lyrics. You sing, we got American hearts. It's good to be this free. It's good to live our dreams. It's good to be right where we are.
That's it.
It's a great song.
I just feel like sometimes, especially if you just watch the news, I feel like for a minute there, it wasn't cool to fly the flag. And it wasn't cool to admit that you were patriotic. And I just feel like, you know what? I don't know if that's the way we should be as Americans. We live in the best, most free country in the entire world, and we should be proud of that.
Yeah. And I mean, if that stuff's going on around you, you have to have the personal strength and insight to say, but that's not how I feel. And I'm going to say how I feel. And that's what you've done.
Our country fought and earned its freedom. No one tells us what to do. You can't tell it's us by the flag we fly on the front porch. The one that's waving around, the one that's red, white, and blue. We got American hearts. We got American hearts. It's good to be this free. It's good to live our dreams. It's good to be right where we are. We've got American hearts. We've got a God that's given us a pretty good start. Born and raised with these American hearts.
Here's one thing that always was convicting to me is that, I play baseball with guys from all kinds of different countries. I played with people from Mexico. I played with and against people from Honduras, played with people from Nicaragua and Panama, and Mexico and Dominican Republic, played with Venezuela, Puerto Rico. And it never fails that those guys have the Puerto Rican flag on their gloves and on their shoes and in their cars, and Dominican Republic flags and all over the place. And sometimes I feel like, I've been on mission trip to those places too. I've been on mission trip to Haiti and Honduras, and Mexico and Dominican Republic. And it never fails that, the dream that those people have is going to play baseball in the United States. That's their biggest goal, is how can we leave our town and go and play in the Major League Baseball, because Major Leagues is as good as it gets. It's the top of the game, but it's also in one of the greatest countries ever. I just feel like we should be more patriotic. I'm just going to go ahead and say we should be more patriotic being Americans than we are.
Yeah, it doesn't cost much to say thank you to America, in my opinion.
That's right.
And, you think about your own life. Your parents were divorced when you were young. Your father wasn't in your life. Now you're a father of 5.
My dad wasn't there, and he was really just not a good father, absent father, and set bad examples when I did see him.
I guess there's a reason things happen like they do. There's a little boy in Georgia still waiting on the truth. Yeah, the season, they all came and went while I waited on that front porch, hoping I'd see you again, maybe driving by to see all that you have missed. You should have seen the first grade. Should have seen the first home run I made. You should have seen the way that my big brother stepped up to take your place. You could have been the hero. Instead I had to make it on my own. I can't help but think how proud you'd be today if you would have stayed.
And so I thought, there's 2 ways you could go with that. You could follow suit and be a father like that, or you can say, you know what, I'm going 180 from that. And that, because of that experience, it's going to make me a better dad. It's going to make me want to be more there and see everything and make sure that they know that I love them.
I forgive you, 'cause that's the way that I was raised. But there's a whole lot of lonely I still carry to this day. When I'm looking back on all the times we could have had, should have seen the first grade, should have seen the first home run I made, should have seen the way that my big brother stepped up to take your place. You could have been the hero. Instead I had to make it on my own. Can't help but think how proud you'd be today if you would have stayed. You'd have loved the girl I married and all the babies that we made. I'm still trying to wrap my heart around why you walked away. You should have seen the first grade. You should have seen the first home run I made, and the way that my big brother stepped up to take your place. Could have been the hero. Instead I had to make it on my own. I can't help but think how proud you'd be say. I guess there's a reason things happen like they do. There's a little boy in Georgia still waiting on the truth.
You know, I keep focusing back on, I guess maybe one of the ways you got it all started, which is Hero in Your Eyes, you know? It's such a beautiful song. And now you write this song about wanting to be a hero in the eyes of those kids.
That's right. Yeah, I was sitting at lunch down in spring training again, and I was sitting there, and my son was right next to me. And, you know, he's 5 now, but he was 3, I think he was 3 years old, about to turn 4 when I wrote this song. And I'm sitting at the table. I look over out of the corner of my eye, and no matter what I do, he does. He's, you know, when I pick up the fork, he picks up the fork. When I put down or move my plate, he moves my plate. And I chew, he chews. And he was just trying to do everything that Dad was doing. And he had a Wainwright 50 shirt on. I thought, you know, man, I just like, what a goal it would be to be a hero to these kids, to him, just the same way as he's getting older. I thought, man, if I could just be a hero in his eyes, and I went, oh man, there it is. And that's how it works. You know, that's how it works for me. When I say things out loud or hear a phrase, I go, oh, that would be a great title. And then, you know, I went upstairs. I went upstairs right after that, and I wrote that song in probably 5-10 minutes. And I sent it to Gary, and I said, dude, I think I got a great one here. And, you know, that was the song that probably has the most lyrics in there that I wrote completely. And I was so proud of it. And I love singing that song for what it means to me.
When you look up at your daddy, do you see a man who tries, man who stands for all that's right and won't ever tell you lies? Do you see a man okay with saying how much he loves you, who's not afraid to ask the good Lord for things he could never do? And I see that look in your little eyes, watching my every single move. And I know that you'll learn more from me than you ever did at school. I'll do my best to teach you right from wrong, and you'll never have to walk alone, like the brightest star up in that Georgia sky. I want to be the hero in your eyes.
Well, I mean, how would you compare the discipline and courage and perseverance it took to become a professional athlete with being a recording artist and putting your country music out?
Well, there's similarities and there's differences. The similarities, I feel like in anything in life, whatever you want to do, if you want to be good at it, you got to work at it. And so I've really seen a lot of improvement in the way I sing and the way I play and perform and all that, just from doing it, just from practice and learning and asking questions and of those who know more than me. And that's very similar with baseball and the work that you put in. You know, I played with a lot of people more talented than me, but most of those people didn't have the careers I did. And some of that was bad luck, but a lot of that's, you know, how bad do you want it? You know,
right.
If you want to be great at it, you got to want it. You got to put the work in. You got to be the time in and preparation and studying and you know, learning those hitters the same way you got to learn these chords and these songs and not mess it up when you get up on the stage and overcoming those nerves when you get out into the field the same way to the stage.
Sure.
Differences would be, you know, ever since I was 3 years old, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. And so, like, totally in my element since I was little to be on the field performing for others. Always knew that I could do it. Always believed that I could do it. In the music world, you know, I had to have people tell me that I could do it. You know, I had to have people believe in me to make me believe in me. So luckily I had a lot of those people.
Did you throw your arm out pitching? Did you fall off the balance beam? Did you back your car into that pole? Did you fail in history? Yeah, a lot of things can happen that don't turn out like you planned. But the thing to remember is you gotta get back up again. Don't let it break you or hold you down. Speed bumps were made for going round, and life's big fails can sometimes be the greatest opportunity. Work harder to be more prepared and show the world that you ain't scared. And when it tells you you can't climb the next wall, that's when you show them all.
There's more of my conversation with Adam Wainwright. That's coming up next. You're listening to American Voices. I'm Bill Bradley. Stay with us.
Before you know you're knee deep in it, and it's more than just a game. Sometimes you do a little too much thinking, and your head gets in the way.
I'm Bill Bradley. We're back now on American Voices. We're continuing my conversation with Adam Wainwright. He was a pitcher with the St. Louis Cardinals for 18 years. Now he's come out with a country music album. It's called Hey Y'all. He's recently made his debut at the Grand Ole Opry, and we're talking about his music. So Adam, this idea of constantly extending yourself, constantly stretching who you are and what you are, you're a baseball player, a musician, or whatever. I just did this film called Rolling Along, which now on HBO Max, it's a kind of autobiographical film. And basically it's me standing on the stage and talking for an hour and 40 minutes. So you just had to do it over and over and over and over. And then you groove it. It's just like grooving a pitch or grooving a free throw or grooving anything else. And I think that the training as an athlete played a big role in me being able to pull the thing off. And that's why you look at your career, you can go there with a little confidence because you have the discipline to make that happen.
I appreciate it. Yes, sir. I know you were great at that. You command the stage well.
And love the stuff you do. I'll tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
And the fact that you come from where you come from and you're making the kind of commitment you're making just says so much about your character. Those kids who look up at you got reason to look up at you with that character shining through.
Well, I appreciate it. It's one thing I always wanted to be real. I always wanted to, when I did interviews with the press in front of people, I always wanted them to know exactly like what was the real reason I did something. I just tried to be natural. I tried to be truthful with the media. Those guys ended up being great friends of mine. But I've seen how media can kind of do the other thing if you're not respectful for them. And I always felt like, you know what? The same can be said. I remember when I was 6 years old and I met Lonnie Smith in the Atlanta Mall. And I went over to him and I said, oh my goodness, it's Lonnie Smith. Mom, can I go get his autograph? And she said, sure, go ahead. So he was sitting at Chick-fil-A eating lunch. And this is 1987 or 88. And I walk over to him and I wanted his autograph. And he sat there with me for 5 minutes and had a great conversation, signed an autograph to me. And I'll never forget it. And so I always try to remember, the moments like that, each time that I get to share a moment like that with a kid, it could have the same impact that it did on me. And, I know sometimes athletes get a bad rap, but I always tried to be, I always wanted to be that Lonnie Smith to somebody else. I always wanted to be a reason.
That's a beautiful thought. It's true that you can, if you're the pitcher that won the World Series, you can have 50 people coming at you and you can't deal with all 50. But at the same time, you have a blessing that you can give. And that blessing you can give is time to somebody you would choose to be with, who would remember that day just like you remembered your time with Lonnie. And it's so great that you never forgot.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're moving into a new career, same kind of commitment, discipline, etc. There are people who are, they're hesitant. They sometimes have it difficult to take another step or change a career or a job or whatever. What advice do you have for listeners who might be afraid to branch out and try something out of their comfort zone?
Well, I'm just not big on regrets. I just try to live my life with none of them. And so, I got to a point where, if you believe in yourself enough then you're going to put the time in, you're going to put the work in to make whatever you're going to do next work. But here's the thing. If it doesn't work, at least you know you gave it 100%. At least you know you tried every single you could to make that happen. The worst thing I think is when you want something, your heart is telling you to go after something. You're just like, you just are not happy where you are and you want to be somewhere else and it's a good thing, but you don't do it. The rest of your life, you're going to look back and say, what if? And I just don't know if what ifs account for a good, happy, long life. So I feel like the effort that's put into trying something new and the failures that come along with that sometimes are what make you even better. The failures are what drive you to be a better competitor or a better husband or a better dad or whatever it is. You know, it's putting yourself out there and taking chances. And if you fail, then you learn.
Well, with that in mind, Adam, you're going to have a heck of a career as a singer. You get better. This is the first time down the road here. You're going to be there for a long while.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean, I'm not calling you Adam Johnny Cash Wainwright yet, but you never know.
You know what's fun for me too is the different shows that I've played so far is you certainly don't consider myself knowing everything, and it's fun when I get into different situations. I mean, I opened for Zach Brown not long ago, and you know, everything was kind of red carpet rolled out for me. And then very soon after, I played a very small show where the crowd was not rocking. And there was, you know, at the Zach Brown show, there was 16,000 people. And then the next time I played in front of maybe 400 or 500 people. I don't know how many people it was. But bringing that same energy to all the different concerts has been fun for me, and experiencing all the different, because it's like minor leagues and big leagues. I've done it all. You know, I rode the bus for 16 hours going to a different place. And then I rode on charter jets, you know, with big league people doing all the stuff for you. It's fun experiencing that side of music too.
Yeah. I mean, really, you know, what you're doing is you're singing to whomever is there to listen, and you're putting the same effort out. I mean, now let's assume you get 10,000 people, your adrenaline flows a little bit more, but you want to connect with people. That's what the song does. And your songs really do connect.
I appreciate that. That's a great point. That's exactly what I mean by those small shows, you know, bringing that energy. You know, I feel like it was almost like pitching against a team that was in last place with nobody in the stands. You know, sometimes as a pitcher, that was harder to bring the same energy level and excitement level and fired upness, you know, and competitive edge to that game as it was with playing the first place team in a sold out crowd. I love playing those good teams, best pitcher on the mound facing you,
sure,
sold out, you know, visiting park, they're, you know, crushing you as far as yelling stuff. And that was, that's helped me in music, I think, so far. But I've got to continue to get better at that, I know.
Yeah, but that's the difference between a champion and a good player. The champion gives the effort every day, whether there are 50 people or 100,000 people. And he does it for his or her own self-respect and for what they're trying to connect and what the message they're telling and why they're communicating in the way they are and how they think it might help people or change their lives or whatever. And you bring it all together. You really do.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you, Senator.
Well, Adam, you know, thanks for being here on American Voices and giving us the time. And thanks for being the person you are and inspiring all of us to push ourselves in new directions.
Thanks so much. And thanks for helping me talk about this music stuff. And I love the opportunity to share that. And thanks for the platform. And thanks for giving me your time too.
I've been speaking with former pitcher of the St. Louis Cardinals World Series champion, Adam Wainwright. He's come now the country western album route. The album is called Hey Y'all. To find out more, visit us on Facebook. My Facebook page is American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley. We're also now on Instagram. I hope you'll check us out there too. Our Instagram page is Bill Bradley on Sirius XM. Write me your thoughts or anything you've heard today. Follow us.
I forgive you, 'cause that's the way that I was raised. But there's a whole lot of lonely I still carry to this day. When I'm looking back on all the times we could have had.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.